In this video, I'm going to show you the easiest way to introduce the remote collar for off-leash reliable freedom. All I'm going to be using in this video is the new Tom Davis Dogtra 2.0. We have a place cot, we have a 4-foot training leash. I'm going to use the Dogtra sound box that you guys do not need. I'm just going to turn it on so you guys can hear the timing, and I'm going to be using a long line. That's all you'll need to train your dog off leash. All right, so this is Burley. He's my 1-year-old South African Mastiff, aka a Borbal. I will say he's not the flashiest dog in the toolbox. My Dutch Shepherd, which you guys may have seen before, it would have been a better choice, but I wanted it to be realistic. So anyway, this is Burley. He's a 1-year-old Mastiff, and we're gonna be starting off with him. Now, the most important thing when you start off remote collar is conditioning. In my experience, conditioning the dog to understand what the stimulation is well before you start utilizing the corrections or the off-leash freedom and letting your dog off leash is the first step to have a reliable off-leash recall and an off-leash obedient skill set. Now, it's important to understand this is a professional dog training tool. This is not a $30 remote collar that you get off Amazon. This is a professional tool, so I suggest you get an actual piece of equipment that is high quality because it might not be the same levels as you guys have at home. So I just wanted to make that clear and give you context. This is a professional dog training tool. It has a half-a-mile range, 100% waterproof, and this is the new 2-dog system because I have 2 dogs and a lot of you guys do at home. I just want to go over the functionalities of the remote collar. I have a nick, a continuous nick if you hold it. I have a boost, which boosts the level that I'm on. So let's say we condition on a 5 and my correction for him is 15. I would be able to immediately go from conditioning levels to a corrective level like that. And that's something I highly recommend for once your dog is fully trained. That way when you're out, when I'm out with my dog, this is on my hip and I'm gone and I very rarely need to use it. The reason why I have it is because like a seatbelt, I really want to make sure that God forbid my dog might not be listening or there's something that's going to get my dog's attention, squirrels, chipmunks, kangaroos, whatever. I want to make sure I can get my dog back reliably because I can't be naive to animal behavior. He might see something he really likes or something more important than what I got in my pouch or me in general. So we're going to start off in a clinical environment, if you will, if you can. So no distractions, right? So in your home. And that would be a good place to start, okay? And when we're introducing this, guys, we're going to start off on a level 4 with Burley. And you guys are going to hear the remote collar go on and off. In the beginning, I'm going to be pairing the remote collar with pre-known behaviors. So I typically do not ever introduce the remote collar to behaviors the dog doesn't know because then they're trying to learn 2 things at once. And I'm not using the vibration or the pager because that is a correction. Please do not do that. If you use the vibration or the pager on your remote collar, it is going to be aversive, it is going to be punitive, and in the context of training with your dog, like here, we are using the remote collar just to condition the dog to my voice. It's a lot like conditioning the clicker. This means me, okay? And we're going to be pairing it with pre-known behaviors, such as, in this video, sit, down, place, and recall, and break. So again, in your non-distracted environment, we're going to start on the 4-foot leash, the place command. So we're going to be pairing place. Good. All 4s on the place. And then the dog gets paid when they go there. Super, super simple. As you guys can tell, he already knows place, and we're conditioning the low-level stimulation. Again, this is not a punitive level. This is just a level that he feels. It's very important to understand that. Okay? Then we're going to break him. Break. Good boy. I'm going to show you what the sit command looks like with the remote collar. Burley, sit. Good. So we're using something called negative reinforcement. Good sit. So when we turn the remote collar on and the dog complies and completes the behavior that we ask, the remote collar stimulation goes away. It's much like somebody tapping you on your shoulder and you turn around and it shuts off, right? So we're asking him to sit, we're asking him to place, we're asking him to recall, etc. So we're going to go over a couple more behaviors. Break. We're going to break the dog. We're going to go into a place. Good. Burley, down. Good boy. So I'm using the remote collar stimulation, as you guys can hear, until the dog gets to the behavior that we asked. So it's going to stay on pop, 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 until the dog gets into the behavior. Now, in order to find the conditioning level for your dog, I typically will put the remote collar on, again, in a non-distracted environment, and start scaling up on your e-collar really slow, level by level by level. The moment that your dog shows you physically that they feel something, a lot of times it'll be like, hey, what's this? Like a fly lands on them. They might itch. You want to go below that. You don't want it to be, again, you do not want it to be punitive in the conditioning stages. Okay, break, Burley, place. Good place. So after you guys have worked on the place, the sit, the down, then you guys want to move to getting some distance on this. This is where you're going to move to a long line. Now the long line right now is probably 20 foot. Okay, so we're going to use some distance on this. So we're going to let the dog out. He's going to try to play with this because he's still a puppy. Don't let him fool you. Yes, he's big and he looks like a rhinoceros, but he's still a very, very large puppy. Really, place. Good place. And what the long line does, guys, is it allows you to get some distance away from your dog. So I would say about after day 2 or day 3, while training the remote collar with your dog, you can start adding some long line distance to your dog. I'm going to show you guys another tactic that I use to condition the remote collar. It's called a tap and turn. So all you're going to do is you're going to take your long line and you're going to start using a tap as you turn, as you tell the dog to come or you tell the dog to heel. So here, Burley, come. Good. As soon as the dog commits to you physically, you let go. Come. Good. So this kind of creates that invisible leash effect, right? And the dog will step on it, especially him because he's a big Goliath. But you just want to keep rolling through this. And with him, what I'm going to do, because I trust him, is I'm going to just drop this long line. But I would recommend you guys holding on to it, especially if you're in an environment you don't know. But this stage, come. Yes, good boy. This stage is going to be done after about a week of training with your remote collar conditioning inside. This is when you start moving to more outside environment, more realistic environment with your long line dragging, conditioning your tap and turns. Good, come. And what I'm doing is I'm tapping the nick. So I'm tapping and turn, come. Good, yeah. So this is tap and turns, guys. Now this is basically a little introduction to the recall, essentially. Hey, I'm going this way. Hey, I'm going that way. Hey, I'm going this way. Hey, I'm going that way. And it just teaches the dog to follow the leader. When you feel this, move into my direction. When you feel this, you're going to move into my direction. So this is where the long line comes in. And again, you're going to start doing the long line work depending on the dog, depending on how well they do. You can go the 3rd day or you can wait a week until you've conditioned inside. But the long line is an absolute crucial role in conditioning the remote collar. The tap and turns are another big piece of this. And you just want to make sure maybe the dog is, let's say that your dog isn't paying attention, isn't doing well at turning with you. Then what you want to do is you want to use leash pressure. Do not go up in your remote collar because your dog will not understand where it's coming from in the conditioning process. So make sure that you use your leash for any type of corrections or any type of attention that you're trying to get with the dog. Don't use the remote collar corrections at any point during the conditioning and foundational stages. What I like to do to really proof the remote collar is start by doing a food recall. He likes chewing on everything. So this is what he's doing here. Down. Good. Stay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to recreate something highly valuable for your dog. And again, guys, this is all in the conditioning sides. If you have other dogs that you can work with that you can recall off from a distance, great. But in this case, because we're still conditioning the dog, what we're going to do is we're going to put a bunch of really good stuff on this platter here for him. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to test my remote collar. Now, it's important when I'm doing this and when you're doing this at home that you're not correcting the dog with your leash. He's creeping over because that means that he's listening to your leash and not your remote collar. So this is a really great way to know if your dog is actually responding to your remote collar. And this is where maybe, depending on where you're at training, if this is like the beginning of the 2nd week or at the end of the 1st week, this is maybe where you guys can start messing around with a little bit of correction levels, which we may be able to do with him because he's such a food monger and he hasn't eaten lunch. And this is also something that you guys can do just to make sure that your dog is responding to the remote collar properly. So I have my boost set up to a +5. I'm on a 5. Now, if I hit my boost, it's going to turn into a 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him a break. I'm going to let him go all the way to the food, break, and then I'm going to recall him off the food. Break. Good. Burley, come. Correction. Yes, good come. Good. Break. That's what an e-collar correction looks like. I went up to about a 12 there on the correction, and that's what it looks like. The dog didn't listen because he's like, this is a lot of food. This is reality. This is the squirrels, the chipmunks, the kangaroos, the other dogs, all the things, right? And what I did is I went, come, didn't feel it because he was at a Metallica concert there. I was whispering to him. I went up to a 15 and he's like, whoop, and he came. You didn't see the yelping, you didn't see the jumping, and even if you did, if it's life or death, I'll take it, but you didn't, right? You just, oh, okay, I'm coming back. So we're gonna do this again, and we're gonna see if he responds to my conditioning levels after that correction. Burley, break. So we're now on back to a 5. Burley, come. Yes, good boy. So that's it, guys. I live in a world where I want my dogs to be off leash, and I'm not naive to the fact that my training may fail at some point if they don't listen to me, maybe they can't hear me, or again, like you just saw, the beef liver ground up is more important than me at that time. He's fully trained, he heard me, he understands what I want him to do, he just decided to eat the food instead of listen to me, and that's where the corrective level comes in. And to give you guys context, humans typically, and I've done this many, many times, don't feel it on their face till about a 7 or 8. That's right around where we started correcting him. I think the highest we got on this was a 12. It says 127 levels. Typically, humans don't feel it on their wrists between 11 and 25. Just to give you context, it's still really, really, really relatively low, and we were able to get him back. So using the remote collar can be overwhelming. You could absolutely ruin your training with a remote collar. You could also do the same thing by giving your dog the wrong pieces of food, by paying your dog at the wrong time. Every single thing that you can use training a dog, you can mess it up doing. I hope that this was helpful. Please let me know if you have questions below. The e-collar has changed my life and millions of other people's lives around the world because it's fun and it is fun for the dog. And every time that my dogs see the remote collar, they get excited because they know they're gonna go train. Consider subscribing to my channel because we put videos out like this every single week. And I'll talk to you next time. Peace.
Today we're gonna be going over how to turn on and off your e-collar. You want to locate this little red dot here on the back of the transmitter. You're going to have that very same magnetic dot. So you're simply going to touch those dots together and you're going to hear a beep. So as soon as you see that green light, you're going to move them apart. Because if you hold it down for like 10 seconds, which is kind of hard to do anyway, that it will go into pairing mode, which isn't a big deal. Notice I didn't even have to turn the transmitter on to do that because this is a magnet. So to turn the transmitter on, you're just going to hold this black button and then you see the LED appears and it's on. Now, one important thing to keep in mind is that the power bars showing on the LED screen of the transmitter are not indicating the power on the receiver. It's only indicating the power level on the transmitter, which is why I have my clients charge their collars every single night. When you plug these in at night, they will automatically shut off. That's why you don't really technically ever have to turn either of these off. If you're charging it every night, if you do want to turn it off though, you do the exact same process as before. Except this time you can hold this magnet down as long as you want. It's going to indicate to you when it's shut off, which is about a half a second or so. There you go. You hear that? And then it's no longer blinking. So it blinks every 4 seconds when it's on. And to turn this off, you just hold the power button there. And hold it longer than what I just did. Now it's off. Turning it back on. Every time you turn on your e-collar for the day, even though it stays paired, I would still recommend that you always check and make sure. You can either do the pager every morning to see if it's connected, or you can do like the tone, but it's whichever. I would obviously do that test before you put it on the dog.